of Israeli devastation of Palestine or Palestinian life? Like, why is this happening?
Well, you had, at the beginning of the Zionist movement, several different strands. So the dominant strand, which today is represented by the Netanyahu government, is the Žabotinskiite strand of Zionism. Now, Žabotinski was explicitly stated that he was inspired by the fascist Mussolini. He was somebody who modeled himself on that Eastern European fascism. He also, which obviously Mussolini was not Eastern European, but an Eastern European fascism he modeled himself upon. But also his conception of the way in which to deal with the Palestinians was about brute force, and it was about understanding the balance of power being dependent on the ability to exact violence, because he also understood clearly, as all of the early Zionist leaders did, that, and these are his words, not mine, no indigenous population will accept subjugation by alien invaders. These are his words in the Iron Wall. So he was very clear about what had to be done. And so when you look at the trajectory of Zionism, yes, there were a infinitesimal amount of Zionist thinkers that advocated for an idea of peaceful immigration, non-state-centric Zionism, rather than colonialism, settler colonialism. But ultimately, they were never in the argument to win it. There were only a few followers of this type of Zionism. Today, Žabotinski is the most recognizable name insofar as there's more hospitals, cinemas, schools, parks, roads named after Žabotinski than there are of any other Zionist thinker within the political unit of Israel. Not Herzl, not Ben-Gurion, not Haim Vajcman, none of the rest of them. Even when you look at, for instance, the way in which Haim Vajcman was able to procure the Balfour Declaration, you see that it's based around weaponry and armaments, because Vajcman was a well-known scientist in Manchester, and when Britain in World War I, for the first 2 years of World War I, there was a shared arms conglomerate between British and German arms companies, meaning that you actually had, when German people were being killed, German companies benefit, and when British people were being killed, British companies benefit. But midway through World War I, Britain were no longer able to import some of the vital components they needed for smokeless gunpowder. And Vajcman came to the rescue. He provided the method through which acetone could be procured through starch. And that answered a key question for the British establishment at that time, the way in which they could produce smokeless gunpowder. And he had great credit with the British political elite, and that led to the Balfour Declaration, which was written by Haim Vajcman himself. It wasn't written by Arthur Balfour. It was written by Vajcman and then produced by Balfour. So I think the key understanding is about the use of violence and the criticality of armaments. And that's what the Zionist movement always understood, and also the necessity for exterminating Palestinian nationhood. Those, I think, are the three clear elements that we now see manifested in Gaza and visited on top of the heads of some of the most vulnerable people in the world. It's an absolutely apocalyptic scene there.
I'd like to thank you, Lowkey, for this most illuminating discussion, to your credit, of course, your responses, and for sitting here with TRT today.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you, you too, Paul.